Joining us today on the program was one of San Francisco's hardest working activists, Dennis Peron. Dennis has been working in the gay community, trying to change and make a difference for the people there, as well as working in the hemp community. And his political ideas and his political efforts have made a change and an impact on that city that will last for its history. Dennis, thank you for being on our show.
Thank you, Casper, for having me.
One of the things that I was talking about in regards to the changing of history in San Francisco is Proposition W. Some people nationally are aware of it, many aren't, but what you did with Proposition W is really a landmark.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. It was Proposition W and Proposition P arised out of a marijuana bust that I had. I was busted in 1977. I used to run the Big Top Pot supermarket.
Okay.
And it was a one-stop pot supermarket, one-stop shop for all your pot needs.
Okay.
And it was a very elaborate setup, and when it came to San Francisco, I had trouble buying pot, and I had to like kiss a lot of ass, and I had a lot of hassles getting pot. So I just decided to start a pot supermarket myself, or sell pot myself. It evolved into a supermarket because there were so many different kinds of pot, and at that time, and different prices and everything. So I tried to get as many different kinds of pot together in one spot as I could.
Okay.
And the idea grew and grew and grew, and before you knew it, I had 3 scales, 15 people working. I had 4 people that all they did was roll joints. And every night we would sell pot to about 500–600 people. It was a very elaborate setup, beautiful house, and customers were treated with dignity and respect, and no one was ever gypped. In 1977, I got busted, like I said, and we had a 4-month trial after I got busted. I didn't mention that I got shot during that raid.
In the leg, right?
Yeah, I got shot in the leg. What it was is the supermarket was going down, and I heard a ruckus at the door, and I went to the stairway to see what was going on, and I see this guy coming up with a gun, big old floppy hat and fatigue jacket, and I think the first thing I think, of course, is a rip, that these guys are going to rob us. So the first thing I do is grab something close by, which was a empty Alhambra water bottle, and I hold it up the stairs, like, go down the stairs and we'll forget all about this. But before I'd even got the bottle up, the guy had shot me. And he got me with the first shot and threw me back, and then another shot went past my ear. And this was the point where I was convinced that these guys were murderous rip-offs, that they were going to kill everybody in the house, so I was willing to give them everything I had, of course. The guy comes up the stairs and puts a gun to my head, and I'm thinking that, goodbye, Dennis. Fortunately, another guy comes in the room, and it turns out he's a cop. Turns out they're all cops, much to my surprise. So I was shot, and I remember the day that day they were taking me out of the house on a stretcher. And out in front of the house, there was 500 or 600 people that had gathered around the house, mainly my friends and customers. And when they took me out, I shot a peace sign to those people, and the whole street screamed, Dennis, Dennis, Dennis,
That kind of support
Dennis.
must have helped you heal.
And it did help me feel a lot better, even though I know it was kind of curtains for the Big Top.
Yeah.
That was an end of an era.
And that's when you brought forth Proposition W. Now, what's Proposition W exactly?
Proposition W, like I said, arose out of the bust, and I knew that people in San Francisco wanted marijuana legal. I knew that because we had a 1972 referendum on Proposition 19. It was a statewide thing, where San Francisco voted 52% to legalize marijuana. So I and my friends went out and collected 16,000 signatures to put a referendum on the ballot. It was a local initiative, but it out and out legalized marijuana for cultivation, sale, possession, anything you wanted to do. You wanted to take a bath in it, you could do that.
Okay. Now, wasn't that contrary to federal?
It's contrary to state and federal. But the way I see it, San Francisco is very unique. It's a city and a county. We elect our district attorney. We elect our mayor. We elect our board of supervisors. In many ways, these people are responsible to us.
Okay.
And also to state law, but to the people that elected them. And so I directed at the chief of police and the district attorney, seeing that those two people were mainly involved in the marijuana prosecution and arrest. And it won by 58%.
Excellent.
I collected those signatures just before I went into jail on the big Top Pot supermarket bust. I got 6 months, and while I was in jail, there was an office opened for a charter commissioner. My friends got the papers for me, and before you knew it, I was a candidate for office while I'm in jail. And also, Proposition W was given a letter designation, and that was going on.
What a turnaround.
I like to say most politicians wind up in jail, but I started my political career in jail. So I figured I'd skip a step. Well, in November came around, I got 20,000 votes and came 300 votes shy of winning the election.
Whoa.
Proposition W got over 58% of the vote to become technically the law of San Francisco, the will and the spirit of the people. Well, I had allies in the political arena. My main ally was my good friend Harvey Milk, the first gay supervisor ever elected in the nation. And my other ally was George Moscone, the liberal mayor of San Francisco, who was a friend of the gay community, who was a friend of the potheads, and he was just a friend of the weak people and the people that had no voice.
Now, you said that the assassination of Harvey Milk had really changed the course.
Well, before I was to leave jail, Harvey and George would be dead, killed by an ex-Marine, an ex-cop, an ex-fireman, an ex-supervisor, who went on a Twinkie-eating, Coca-Cola-laced rampage and politically assassinated Harvey Milk and George Moscone. The bullet that ripped through Harvey and George's brain set the gay movement back at least 10 years, and everyone knew that. But not everyone knew that it's also set the marijuana movement back 10 years. That we had this victory, and the two people that were going to see it enforced were now dead. And the guy that did it is claiming he ate too many Twinkies, that's why he did it. So needless to say, Proposition W got put on the back burner and kind of forgotten, including by myself, because like Harvey was my friend, and I couldn't even think about Prop W. All I could think about was revenge, revenge, revenge. Harvey is dead. George is dead. We've got to try to get back our power. I know we can never get those two men back. So I ran for Harvey's seat. I fortunately lost. In retrospect, it's fortunate. But Proposition W was quite forgotten. Not by me, but by the politicians, and by the police, and by the district attorney.
But then over the years, you've made it a point to bring a lot of awareness to people about the hemp movement.
Well, you know, marijuana, we've always had all the issues on our side. We've always had the truth on our side, but I've really found out 22 years, truth is not enough, and that in many ways people are brainwashed. And so I know that we can't rely on people's brain anymore in America, and that in a way we have to rely on the only thing that seems to be left, and that's their heart and their conscience. And right now San Francisco is going through a very serious AIDS crisis, as America is. And we have a lot of sick people, and we have a lot of dying, and we have a lot of pain. And out of that pain arose Proposition P, the medical marijuana initiative that I just put on the ballot this year.
And I understand that the success of that has really rocked the nation, and we'll be talking about that just as soon as we come back. Welcome back. We're talking with activist and political leader Dennis Peron. Now, Dennis, you commented that this particular proposition rose up out of the AIDS community and the pain and the suffering that you saw for the relegalization for medical uses is what this is all about, isn't it?
It's true. It's what it's about. Well, let me tell you something about how it became into being. It was January 27th, 1990, that we were sitting home. It was about midnight, and we were just ready to go to bed, when I hear a knock at the door, and I'm going down to answer. Before I get down there, a sledgehammer breaks the door down, and in come these 5 people who claim they have a search warrant. My immediate reaction that these guys are rips, because number one, I'm not even dealing. But they're not rips, they're cops. They claim that they heard somebody said that I had marijuana for sale. On that basis, they got a warrant. They found marijuana in my house. They found 4 ounces of marijuana in my house. But what they also found was my very sick best friend dying of AIDS. And their behavior that night reminded me of what the Jews had to go through during the Nazi era. My very sick friend was thrown on the ground with a gun to his head. The son I raised was intimidated and brutalized, thrown on the ground. That night we heard gay AIDS jokes, gay jokes. We were physically and brutally intimidated by these thugs who found 4 ounces of marijuana in my house.
Okay.
They arrested me for the 4 ounces. And 9 months later, I was exonerated because the 4 ounces of marijuana were claimed by my very sick and dying friend, Jonathan West. Before he died, he testified that the 4 ounces of marijuana in the house were his, and the charges were dropped against me. 2 weeks later, he died.
Now, was he using these for this marijuana, the hemp, for medical purposes?
Yeah.
Because now we've heard on this show and from other sources that it can be helpful in relieving pain. It can be helpful in taking care of nausea, helping with the easy pain, the nausea, increasing appetite, etc.
Primarily why I did it, because marijuana was keeping Jonathan alive for the last 3 years of his life. He had no appetite. He had everything. He had cancer. He had pneumonia. He was 90 pounds. Marijuana was literally keeping him alive. It was offsetting all the side effects of the AZT and the chemotherapy and all the myriad of drugs he was taking, legal drugs, that had severe side effects, from depression to vomiting to diarrhea.
So then you took this and you went out and put together Proposition.
In memory of Jonathan West, his eulogy, I collected 16,500 signatures to put marijuana as medicine on the ballot in San Francisco. I never dreamed, in my wildest dreams, that we would get 80% of the vote. But in fact, that's exactly what happened.
Now, what does the wording pretty much specify on? Is it strictly for medical purposes? Is that how it's worded? Is there?
Yes, it's strictly for medical purposes. It's only for people that have certain ailments that are covered under the initiative.
Now, does this mean that their doctors can prescribe it, or that if they're just caught with it and they have proof of a certain ailment, then there's no prosecution?
Well, legally, Proposition P has no stature. It is merely an advisory to the city and county of San Francisco. However, I think the district attorney can read numbers, and I think that he knows that the people of San Francisco are serious. As a matter of fact, we got more votes than the district attorney.
Okay.
We're the highest vote getter in San Francisco history.
Now, how many districts are there in San Francisco?
There are 628 precincts in San Francisco. There are 11 different districts.
Okay. Now, you brought in what, 30 of those precincts?
In the gay districts, we had 30 precincts. There was 100% for Proposition P, not one dissenting vote. And Proposition P seemed to have crossed all the boundaries. I know that everyone thinks San Francisco is kook city, and in many ways, it is kook city. 40% of the people are totally kooky, but 80% aren't. And I think that is a telling thing here, that we have crossed the kook boundaries We've gone beyond kookdom. And we even got the elderly people to vote for this. And as a matter of fact, I had elderly people coming up to me and saying, Dennis, you know, I used to use this stuff when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
My mother used to give me this for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She used it for rheumatism. She used it for bronchitis. And they actually had a tincture they put on people's knees and joints for arthritis and rheumatism. And so we even got the old people, and I know that people think, well, older people are very much against us. Wrong. Older people are against drug use per se and drug abuse. But quite frankly, I'm against drug abuse myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are talking of medicine. We know we haven't changed the law. However, we have given the people of San Francisco a defense in court.
Okay, now is this defense good for strictly residents of San Francisco, or if somebody's from New York visiting, because they know that they're not feeling very healthy and they are looking for an avenue which they can relieve pain, that to show up in San Francisco as a tourist to take care of this problem, or?
Well, it does seem to become that San Francisco is going to become the lords of America, because after the election I had gotten phone calls from all over the nation.
Mm-hmm.
For people from multiple sclerosis to cancer and this and that. And they're anxious to come to San Francisco, but now, because now they think they can get treated.
And now, are they also going to be able to grow it, raise it?
Well, so, like I said, Proposition P has no legal stature. However, there is a political aspect to P that makes it very interesting. It was during a mayor's race that Proposition P was on the ballot. The top 2 vote getters are now in a runoff. One of them is Frank Jordan, an ex-police chief who is trying to be a liberal, and one of them is the incumbent mayor, who is a liberal. They have both been in contact with me, asking me how they can help enforce Proposition P.
Excellent.
I am playing that card. I am playing each against each other for the betterment of this country.
And do you think you're going to be able to get this to spread out now through not just the state, but do you think this will start popping up now in like New York,
my
Chicago?
new demands are 6 plants. 6 plants per AIDS patient, per cancer patient, multiple sclerosis, whatever you got, 6 plants. You're allowed to grow your own 6 plants. And what I'm really asking for is de facto legalization of marijuana for cultivation of marijuana for medical purposes. I can't ask, I am asking the city, county of San Francisco to look the other way.
Okay.
When they see 6 plants growing in a window, to just look the other way. I know I cannot change state law out of San Francisco, although I do believe the state of California is ready. And we are taking this initiative on the road. Our next targeted location is Santa Cruz, California.
Okay.
And after that, I want to take it to Humboldt and Mendocino and to Los Angeles, right into the belly of the beast.
Okay. Now, if someone, how do they protect themselves? I mean, if they're growing 6 plants, do they have to have a statement from a doctor saying that they are AIDS patient or cancer
Well, that's
patient?
exactly what we're advising patients to do, to get an advisory note from their doctor that says, if marijuana were legal, I would prescribe it. And that's all, because doctors cannot legally prescribe it now. I do believe that there will never be another prosecution for marijuana in San Francisco again. I believe that because I am going to stand in the way of anybody that tries to prosecute anybody for marijuana in San Francisco. Proposition W, it was the right time, the right place, but Harvey dying and George dying screwed it all up. But I intend to bring up Proposition W, the one I put on before, along with Proposition P, to try to make San Francisco the place we wanted it to be.
Excellent.
And
I want to, let you know I've been aware of your work in the movement for a long time, and you've made quite an impact on many of the activists coast to coast, and are looked upon as one of the most intellectual and hardworking leaders in what we're doing. It's been an honor to have you on our show. I'd like to have you back again. You come with so much knowledge and information.
We have a lot of stories. Anytime you want me back, Casper, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I also like to have you realize that anybody can get out there and join this fight. Anybody can make a difference. The important thing is to get up and do it. Until we have the opportunity to get together the next time, keep strong, keep happy, keep wise. Thank you.